Welcome to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken. Shep will talk with some of the smartest thinkers in business to help make you more successful in your professional and personal life. This is Amazing Business Radio with Shep Hyken.
Hello, everybody. It's Shep Hyken here. We're back with another episode of Amazing Business Radio. And today we're going to be talking with Matt Price, who is the CEO and co-founder of Crescendo, a customer service platform that combines AI with human expertise to deliver an amazing and exceptional customer support experience for customers. We're going to be talking about all kinds of very interesting topics today. And if you are thinking about using AI to deflect away from the human-to-human experience, I think you definitely need to listen to this show. And by the way, if you think humans can do it all, you definitely need to listen to this show. So before we get into the interview, a quick announcement. If you've got an amazing story that you want to share, or you've got a question that you want to ask, please reach out to me on any of the social channels. I'll either answer the question right here in this show on the social channel you reach out to, or in my newsletter, the Shepherd Letter, which you can subscribe to at no charge. And just go to hyken.com, Hyken, subscribe. And by the way, while you're there, check out my annual customer service and experience research. It's free. Just click on it. It opens up. You don't even need to give me your email address. I want you to have it. Tons of information and facts, and will help you guide and steer you toward decisions that will be more customer focused for your organization. All right. With that, we're going to get into our interview with Matt Price. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, Shep, great to be on. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. So Matt, you shared that you're from south of London. Is that right?
Yeah, just in, west of London, but south of England.
South of England. Okay, even with that.
Yeah.
So where is that exactly?
Well, if you, the town I was in was a town called Henley-on-Thames, which is very famous if you know anything about Crewe, but if you don't know anything about Crewe, nobody knows anything about it.
Crewe as in rowing crew?
Yeah. So it's upstream from London on the River Thames, and every year they have this massive rowing festival there called the Henley Regatta, and it takes over the whole town. Actually, for those of you who know, technology, there was the movie about the Facebook, and the Winklevoss twins were rowing there.
Right.
That's one connection that your audience might have some connection with the Henley-on-Thames.
That's great. So Crescendo, a customer service platform, it combines AI and human expertise. So I want to know, Crescendo, what an interesting name for a company. How did you come about that? And I know you can see I've got guitars in the background. Most of the people are listening to this. They don't actually see it. So I'm into music, and I know it has something to do with music. Tell me why it has something to do with a customer service software platform.
My co-founders and myself, we come from many different parts of the customer service industry. Myself, I was in the technology part. I have co-founders who were operators and in the contact center business. And one thing we realized was that if you're leading a customer service team, man, it's so hard to deal with all of the different interlocking pieces and components and get those all working together to achieve the peak of customer service. So Crescendo music is everybody playing together to really reach the pinnacle, and that's what we're trying to achieve with Crescendo.
So who is the conductor of this orchestra?
The conductor of the orchestra is the customer service leader. And the challenge for the customer service leader now is that, most of the leaders I have, they know how to generate next generation service. They have this super long list of things that they want to do. They have the vision, and they are the service designer. The challenge is that most of their time is spent with the minutiae of getting everything to work, dealing with legacy platforms, trying to handle the right staffing better, trying to work on very limited and operated budget. So they are the conductor. We are the orchestra for them. And when they want us to play in a certain way, we will play in a certain way. And but what they can do is spend their time originating, orchestrating, and we'll take care of the delivery for them.
So they write a song, and you come in as a director and tweak it and make it work. And and build out in the recording studio. I'm using music metaphors.
Yeah, I love it.
And we come out with this album that the Beatles did that goes gold or platinum or
That's right. Yeah, we want to be Revolver, or
Revolver. There you go. One of my favorites.
Yeah, or tribute to the recent genius that's just died, unfortunately. Pet Sounds. We want to help service leaders create their magnum opus.
So, Matt, who is the typical client or customer of Crescendo? I know you said the orchestra is a CX leader, but the type of company that you like to work with.
Yeah, there are types of companies whereby CX complexity is pretty high. The companies have grown to a certain size. There are multiple teams doing it. There may be different layers of service like VIP or freemium. There might be multiple channels they're dealing with. And then multiple opportunities for automation. So complexity is high, but the available resources for the service leader to actually make changes and implement things is pretty low. They can't afford to hire the full-on CX expert or the team of knowledge engineers that they need to manage things, or there's limited budget for capital investment in customer service. In fact, they're constantly being asked to reduce the budgets. And so that's the paradox that a lot of these organizations, the leaders have to deal with, and that's our sweet spot. So for companies that have unlimited resources, they can typically do things DIY and do it themselves. For small businesses, the complexity isn't there, where they really have to, sweat things a lot. But there is this massive middle group of CS leaders that have the vision, but really don't have the assets or the team to deliver, and that's where we fit.
Interesting. So let's start with some of there's an intriguing talking point that you sent over, and the hidden waste in customer service operations. Hidden waste. And by the way, it's the waste that probably gets a CFO to say, I'm not going to invest more money in creating a better experience. And somewhere we're going to get to this eventually, how really customer experience, customer service, customer support departments, whatever you want to call it, is not really a cost center if it's done right. It's actually a major driver of revenue. But unfortunately, somewhere on my list of the things that you mentioned that CX gets stuck under operations and not sales and marketing.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot to unpack there, Matt, so I'm going to let you do that.
Yeah, there's this, I mentioned I worked in CX technology for a long time. As part of that time, I led our whole customer service team, a few hundred people globally, and we were trying to go through, operations and stuff, And what I realized is, the company I was working at, I'd say Zendesk, an amazing company, fantastic technology, brilliant people, and continues to be like that, really kind of trains the industry. But the challenge is technology is only one part. It's part of it. There's a human element to customer service as well, the people who are receiving service and the integration. And what I saw really was there is this CX death spiral that happens, whereby CX operates in silos, tech silos, team silos, and there are misaligned objectives between everybody that's trying to do something, between the customer, the business, and the suppliers. What that actually leads is to waste and poor results. And I'll give you an example is the volume of features that somebody will use off their customer service platform is tiny. It's fraction. Companies end up paying for much, much more than they actually need, or they can actually use. And they have visions for using it all in time. But for one reason or another, typically what organizations buy and start using on the first day, they're using in a few years' time. So firstly, there's a lot of waste in tech. And if you imagine you multiply that by the 4 or 5 different pieces of components, or sometimes even up to 10 pieces of technology that people have to weave together, it becomes exponential, because you've got all of these tools that you're using only a component of, and then you can't connect them well and you can't orchestrate them together. So that's the first thing.
Right. And by the way, just a quick comment, that's clunky. And I see 2 problems. Number one, it might create an inconsistent experience for the customer, but I think worse, it creates a bad experience for the employees trying to use the system. And that only frustrates the people working there, which is going to translate and transfer over to the customer experience, the actual outside customer.
Absolutely, you know, and somebody wiser than me once said, the problem is in any problem is in the joins. It's in the integration. So the more joins you have, the more complexity, the more room for failure there is. And in this case, the more room for waste.
So
Because
simplify is the key. Recognize. So would you agree with this statement that the best solutions when it comes to, for lack of a better term, buying the system you want to use to create a better customer experience, that solution needs to be simple with the capability of adding on, as opposed to being robust and just choosing 5 out of the 30 things it might be able to do?
That it's so true, you know, and it's what tends to happen is that you have all of these different piece components that you're trying to assemble, ranging from, say, a chatbot to a CRM to a CCaaS system to your QA to your workforce management system, separate licensing, and these things are important. But like you said, they become clunky and it becomes hard to manage. So if there's a way that you can find to actually step back from that and say, actually, maybe I don't need to be managing all of this stuff. Maybe it's not my job as a customer service leader to be into the minutiae. And these are all great individual tools, but maybe I should have somebody else help me who's doing that all for many, many different organizations, take care of that. You know, and the outcome of that is a better customer experience. It's a better experience for the people working within customer care, you know, be the ops manager, be it the workforce manager, being the associate or the agent. And it saves money. It's a real way to drive better economies within business too.
Yeah, I can even think of, even in my own little business, buying something thinking I'm going to use all that it has to offer, and I use one little sliver, realizing I could have gotten away with a different solution. I still believe it's important that any solution that a company buys, as they're doing their research and talking to the potential vendor or partner they're going to have, they need to be asking the question, A, will this easily integrate with either a legacy system or something that you don't do with the right APIs? I know that sounds technical for some people, but it's just basically, will whatever I buy work with this? And the ability to upgrade and advance, because here's the problem. You mentioned, well, I see lots of do-it-yourself, and there's all these legacy systems where, you know, over time, people have invested, companies have invested into systems. Oftentimes, they're actually not in the cloud. They're actually servers, and they're in a room somewhere. And these companies want to figure out ways to get their investment back. The problem is that's the past. And the current, okay, it doesn't require big servers. It requires greatness in the cloud. And that cloud software gets to be upgraded by your partner or your vendor as needed, when needed. And it's so much easier and less expensive, and you grow with it. And anyway, I know I'm kind of just sharing a bunch of ideas, but Matt, agree, disagree?
I agree. And I think that within customer service, we've been trying to reduce some of these complexities. To be fair, people have been trying to move things into the cloud and working with cloud vendors, which has given the rise to companies like Zendesk or Salesforce. You know, this is what they were built on. What we have now, that we're on this cusp of this whole new thing that everybody's talking about, which is AI and LLMs. You know, and so now not only are customer service leaders sitting on this old DIY stack of things to do, we're being told, and that there's an amazing things you can do with this. Now, the challenge is if you apply AI to a broken piece of complexity, you get more complexity.
Right. You know, like they say, put lipstick on the pig, it's still a pig.
That's exactly it. So if you think you can just buy a chatbot and plug it into the front end, sure, you are going to get some advances. You know, it's going to be better than an old IVR, and it's going to be better than, you know, a simple rules-based chat. You know, the LLMs are good. But actually, this revolution is so radical, you know, of what's happening now, where AI and LLMs, for the first time within customer service, is going to change every aspect of every role and what everybody's does. Like you said, it really is just lipstick on a pig or a chicken or whichever farm animal. But so really, you know, now is the time to take a step back and really think, okay, does the way we did this in the past have to be the way we do this in the future?
Right. This is a perfect place to segue into another topic. which is going to be the idea of deflecting the customer to AI versus engaging them human to human. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about right after this break. We are talking with Matt Price, who's the CEO and co-founder of Crescendo, a customer service platform that combines AI with the human expertise and experience to deliver an exceptional customer experience for our customers. Don't go away. We're coming right back. Shep Hyken here with an offer that won't cost you a cent. You may have heard me talk about my annual customer service and experience research. We've surveyed thousands of customers matching the U.S. Census for age, gender, ethnicity, and geography, and we find out what customers love, hate, and want in a customer experience. What's the number one customer experience that almost every customer desires? What makes them come back? What makes them leave? Why won't they fill out surveys? What do they think of AI? Well, these questions and more are answered in the research. You can download the full report by going to hyken.com and clicking on the research tab at the top. Like I said, it won't cost you a cent, but it may make you or save you thousands and thousands of dollars when you understand your customers' expectations. Again, the website is www.hyken.com.
You're listening to Amazing Business Radio with best-selling author and customer service and business expert, Shep Hyken.
We're back on Amazing Business Radio talking with Matt Price, CEO and co-founder of Crescendo. And Matt, what I wanted to get into now is the whole idea of deflection to engagement. So many companies are investing into AI and thinking this is what we need to cut cost in the contact center, cut cost and people being called for all kinds of questions, some ridiculous, some whatever. I think there's a danger in doing too much deflection. There's some companies that have even taken a risk and gone all in on deflecting to AI without any human experience. So this is where you get to make the argument that Crescendo does actually combine AI with human expertise.
Exactly right. So we talked before about this whole new wave of LLMs and AI and how it's going to be a radical change. The reality is that if you're doing it yourself, for most organizations, it's incredibly difficult to do it in a way that is very high quality for the customer. And if it's not high quality for the customer, then it'll become more expensive and the purpose is lost. So what we really focus on is removing that complexity. We've done it.
Matt, I'm going to stop you there because I think what you just said is brilliant, to use a term that you would use in the UK. You just said the idea is that they think it's going to save money to put AI out there, but when AI doesn't work, it ends up costing more money. A, because you lose customers who are upset. B, because it takes time to fix what AI didn't get right by having to talk to a human to do it.
That's exactly right. So the way to do this we find is that if we can partner with organizations, we've done this many times before, we take the load off and we figured out a way to how to make AI incredibly accurate. And we figured out how to really lower the cost per transaction for our customers because we have experts that do it every day. So we take that load off. Now our partners who are the customer service leaders start to get excited. It's like, oh no, I can do these things now. I can extend opening hours. I can put the telephone number back on the website because it's not going to crush my team. And so we start to move the language and we encourage customers to stop talking about containment, stop talking about deflection, but stop talking about engagement with the AI, and if necessary, engagement with a human as well as that. But you can only do that if you can be successful in quality and start to lower the cost per interaction.
Right. So, and actually, cost per interaction, people need to recognize it's the cost of all interactions, both the AI interactions or AI-infused interactions and the human-to-human interactions. And when you combine all of those, but many contact centers and customer service leaders are saying, ever since we've started using AI, our average handle time on dealing with the customer is going up. They're spending more time with the customer. Well, of course they are, because AI is handling the easy stuff, the simple things, leaving the more complicated. I'm getting ready to write an article. I think I'm going to title it Just Because. And it's just because AI can do something doesn't mean it should. But on the other side, just because humans are capable doesn't mean we should flip it over to AI. So there's this balance, there's this line that you need to put on one side or the other. Is this the kind of question that's so simple and we will not make a mistake with the answer using AI? Let's use it there. And then on the other side of the line is, this is where we need to make sure we have empathy, we have understanding, we have maybe judgment calls that need to be made by the front line. So did I explain that well? Is that kind of what you're talking about?
It's exactly right. You know, and the challenge is, though, is that AI is changing and improving all the time. Your business is changing and improving all the time. So that handoff point could be changing minute by minute, day to day. So what you actually need to do is put a feedback loop cycle in. And this is something we do, whereby you're constantly monitoring the quality of the AI, you're constantly monitoring the handoff and the human, and looking for opportunities to make sure that that handoff point is as sweet as possible for the consumer. They're not waiting. There's no repetition. What happens when you do that is that you're not forcing the AI to do more than it should be doing at this time. And that's where things start to fall through a hole, you know, and that's what we focus on between the organization, the collaboration between the focus and the humans.
So do you think that AI is going to replace customer experience jobs, or what's your thought on that?
AI is going to evolve, customer service jobs. We have 3,500 people working for Crescendo in many companies. We handle customer service for hundreds of customers. What we're seeing now is the evolution of our contact center workers into a new type of role. The team leaders are managing AI and they're managing humans. The quality assurance managers are moving from just being QA scoring to being insights managers and mining the information they've got in order to do it. The customer service reps themselves are actually, when they get something handed off from the AI, are incentivized to actually look at what happened with the AI and feedback if it could have done better. So we're getting great feedback from our teams as they evolve those roles. So absolutely, it's going to be much more about jobs changing than jobs going away.
Yeah, and I think up-leveling the skills and the knowledge of the people that are working there, I think is also key. I have been honored to be able to interview some amazing CXOs and people who are SVPs and higher of some of the largest companies in the world. Not one of them has ever said AI is going to kill the job. Actually, many of them, and I will admit, they aren't maybe hiring quite as many as fast, but they're not eliminating these jobs. It is still growing in spite of the capability of AI growing.
If you look at most customer service teams, there is a group of hardcore customer service professionals. They dedicate their lives to it. This is their profession. Then there are a number of people who will use customer service as kind of like a gig job or and step in and step out and they can work that. That's fantastic for them as well. What I think we're going to see the evolution of is people who are dedicating their lives and their careers to being customer service. Their jobs will improve, and all of a sudden, because of AI coming in, they will become the core and the foundation, and then they'll be able to get more career growth than they had before because they have the expertise that's required.
Right. I believe AI has the capability of creating a confident solution for customers, but not an empathetic relationship building. Although you could argue that creating confidence and trust because it's always right is relationship building, but I think at some point it's not. Even Jeff Bezos was smart enough to understand that, you know, in the perfect world, nobody would ever call for customer service because we've created this incredible system. Technology is driving the way people buy, the way we send it out, the reminders and emails that they get. But what happens when somebody does have a question? What happens when that outside third-party delivery company fails and it was an Amazon purchase? Well, the customer thinks Amazon failed. And nobody, when they call Amazon, says, well, that's not our fault once it leaves the warehouse. No, they own it. But that's the kind of thing I think so important for companies to understand. Anyway, all of these companies I'm interviewing, Verizon, Hewlett-Packard, major companies, they are saying we are not cutting the jobs in spite of what all these displacement. I think the word you used was redefine the position. I think that's going to happen and is happening, but we're not eliminating.
What we're seeing with our customers is if we can get quality right, which we do, and then what starts to happen is they put customer service the front door in so many more places they put it in the product. They put the telephone number. And then what starts to happen are amazing new use cases start appearing. Let's take Rasho. You know, they are next generation company do have an amazing product. So you don't have to put irrigation in under your lawn. They have this one sprinkler that plug into the one. It smartly maps the lawn. And
it's called Rasher?
Ratio, RACHIO. I encourage anybody to look at it. It's this next generation lawn sprinkler. And it's just fantastic. We've all bought them ourselves, and then we use them. But one thing that we discovered and they discovered was, because they were using Crescendo and Ratio's customer service, they were able to keep the same quality but lower the cost per interaction. Now they were bounded. So what this AI can do now is, rather than just wait for somebody to have a problem, encourage customers to call it before they unbox. And guess what? This AI will sit there and spend as much time as you like on the phone. The incentive is aligned with the consumer. It can talk through every step of the way. So you're turning customer service from a break fix to a proactive aid. And that's leading to so many more interactions and customer experience. And what it means for Ratio is that they have much more success on the front line. The customers are not experienced, and they end up referencing, and telling everybody about their product, which is what I'm doing right now. So,
right. And you've trained the customer that the AI works for them. And I would believe that there's a point that if the customer was frustrated, it's easy for them to jump over to a human being.
Yeah, because what you can do now is that what happens with AI on the first point is that you go through this experience and it can be good, but because the organization hasn't rethought about how they restructure the people on this, you might get stuck in the back of a queue, and so the AI fails out, and all of a sudden you've gone async, or you're putting an email, or you're in a queue and being passed to another level 1 person who, unfortunately, but frankly, probably knows less than the AI did in the first place. So it's poor experience. If you get it right, and this is what we will tell our customers, is that get the AI in, will save you as much money there. So now you can afford to put somebody on 24/7, and you can do a live handoff to a super smart human within a very short period of time. And that's customer service improvement.
Yeah.
That's where the magic happens.
Love it. All right. We are out of time. I warned you. I'm going to ask you one more question. There are so many things I'd like to talk about. One of the things we didn't, and you have to be very succinct, in 1 minute or less, I want you to give me the one thing, but there's something on here I hope that you address in this one thing you want to leave us with question, and that is that customer service becomes the core differentiator and revenue driver for a company. Let's let that be that one last nugget you leave us with.
Okay. So think big. Think, how can I increase the number of interactions by a volume, 10x, 20x? In order to do that, you have to get rid of a lot of the old mindsets that I'm going to manage all of my tech and I'm going to manage all the people. You could be a service designer and find a partner who can actually implement that. In doing that, what you will then start to do is get amazing more interactions and more insights for the business that can be developed by AI. And you take customer service from being a back office operation, you put it right back in the boardroom. And we're seeing that right now.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. I'm just came from CCW, Contact Center Week, and that's where the greatest minds in CX are getting together. And that's one of the things we're seeing, is that CX is starting to get more and more recognition in the C-suite, in that boardroom. And again, to the point of, it's no longer just a cost. It's really a revenue generator when you see the retention result is with the right customer experience, as well as the growth that comes from referrals and from anybody that decides to stay with you and keeps buying over time, buys more per transaction over time. On average, that's typical business. Matt, this has been amazing, which is why we call it Amazing Business Radio. Thank you so much for being on our show today. And we look forward to staying in touch and hopefully meeting again down the road.
I would love to do that. Thanks for having me on, Shep.
All right, everybody, that wraps it up. Another episode of Amazing Business Radio. We'll be back next week with another interview. Until that time, this is Shep Hyken reminding you to always be amazing.